Tom, welcome to my kitchen. Thank you so much for coming over.
Tim, I love nothing more than nosing around somebody else's kitchen. So this
what
is
do
a
you
real
make
treat.
of it?
I really like it, actually, minimal.
Okay.
And I love the American-style oven you've got there.
Yeah, that's
Huge.
Simon Rimmer's fault. He said if you're going to get a kitchen, when you do it up, make sure you put a decent oven in. So
Oh, that is good advice, isn't it?
well, he said it'll be a lot of fun.
Has it been a lot of fun? How often do you use four rings and two griddles?
Well, yeah.
How often? How often, Tim?
I quite often I use them, but in different
I'm sensing-
combinations.
Well, you've got a lot of almonds and wholemeal pasta on the side.
Yeah.
So I feel like you don't fry a lot of things.
No, I do it on the griddle. I cook a lot of the meat stuff on the griddle there. So yeah, it's good. And that sort of thing, there's like an indoor barbecue-y type thing as well.
I've always wanted one of those.
It's good. It's good for doing stuff like courgettes and aubergine.
Oh, yes. I love a barbecue courgette / aubergine.
What's the cooking arrangement like at your parents' house where you
Well,
live?
thank you. Bless you for saying that. I have long talked about loving Le Creuset. And I'm not sponsored by them. I mean, I don't know if they ever sponsor anybody. But I eventually got one. In fact, a friend of mine bought it for me.
Yeah.
And my parents, rather than using it, now use it as a bread bin.
No.
So it doesn't really get used. So I would say the cooking arrangement. My mum in particular isn't really into cooking.
So do you do it?
So I do a bit of it. My dad likes cooking. My mum does cook sometimes. But yeah. Like I would say,
Is it just the three of you?
and then my brother is sometimes around. He lives in
Right.
Tunbridge Wells.
Does he have his own house?
He has his own flat. He doesn't just.
He's grown up.
He's grown up. Everybody else is grown up. I'm only 35, Tim. It's very, I
That's
can't
right,
possibly
yeah.
think about.
I bought you a present, as
I
always.
noticed a
buy-
bottle of
yeah,
wine
I-
wrapped in paper. That's lovely.
I buy everyone a present. It's a nice bottle of wine.
That is very thoughtful. Thank
Do
you.
you drink wine?
Yes, I do.
It's
How
red
nice.
wine. It's from.
Oh, I won't drink it. I'll save it.
It's from Uruguay. And,
Oh, they're the best.
The guy in the shop said, I'm going to read the bit, by the way, the label to you, because I know nothing about wine. It says it's called Anarchia. That's what it's called. An Anarchia. It's a natural tanner, and it's a natural yeast, and no added sulfur results in an incredibly pure expression of Uruguay's signature variety, tanner. I didn't know they added sulfur to wine.
I didn't.
Sorry, they do. They add
Sulfur, is that different to
sulfur.
sulfur?
Oh,
Kill off the
to
bug.
kill off the bugs.
Oh,
apparently.
full of bugs. This is full of bugs.
The bloke in the shop, I said, "This is for a present. Is it any good?" And he said, "It's out there. It's big and full, meaty. You think when you drink it, you think meat and brambles."
When you drink it, you think meat and brambles. Two things about this. One is you've had a conversation with someone and then you've written it down.
Yeah, I did.
That's adorable. And secondly, it doesn't matter if you buy somebody a bottle of wine because they don't drink it in front of you. So,
Yeah,
you know.
but I wanted to tell you all about
Oh,
it.
that's lovely. So, shall I save it for Christmas Day?
Why? Have it whenever you want. It's a present. It's up to you to do with it what you please.
Oh, well.
Anyway, I'd like to thank you on your manners as well, because you came on Sunday brunch and you hand wrote a message to myself and Simon individually, one to each, thanking us for coming on the show. No other guest. I've been on TV 22 years now. No other guest has ever handwritten a card to me. So thank you very much.
Well, it was a pleasure. It's always lovely to be on your show. It's always quite an interesting experience because you have to get there quite early.
Yeah.
And sometimes you do feel quite sort of still asleep when you get there, but then you go, oh, I'm actually on television. And then as the morning goes on, you just sort of relax. You go through waves of feeling first maybe nervous and then sort of tired and then energized and, I mean, everything. There's room for every emotion in that 3 hours of live television.
Do you enjoy doing it? Like
Yes.
TV, stuff like that?
Yeah, I love it. It's very
Yeah.
exciting. And it's nice the way it is always very relaxed and fun the way that you guys run it. So I'm always impressed by that. And it allows me to basically mess around you.
Well,
I'm very flattered that you
I
let
think
me do
that's
that.
the thing comedians like about the show is because we do 52 of them a year and they're 3 hours long. Simon and myself really don't care when a comedian wants to just go for it and take over. It's less work for us.
Of
and
course.
it's
No
always
ego
enjoy-
there. No
Brad-
ego there.
Well,
Yeah.
Bradley Walsh always goes, "Thank you, Tim. You're always so generous." I'm like, "No, thank you.
Yeah.
It means I haven't had to work." But your cooking section last time was a triumph. We tweeted it, and it's had so many views, and all the other comics love it as well.
Oh, yes, I know. People have said to me they like watching it. I don't know what it was. I just got just got a bit overexcited, probably.
Nish Kumar came on the show and he said, I can't tell you how many times I've watched that. Rob Beckett started tweeting it and saying
he did, didn't he?
But you went to school with Rob Beckett.
I went to the same school as Rob. He's a couple of years younger than me. No one believes that. But it's true, guys. It's true. Yeah, so we're from Bromlar, not salubrious part of London that you're from here. This is very nice.
It's quite nice, isn't it?
I bet you can't move for this. What would we call this extension? You've got one of these extensions that's got a glass roof. I don't know what that is. Where it was presumably just a Victorian cottage, but you've made it into a big back. That's what you've got here. A big back.
I've got a big back. Yeah, lets the light in.
But lovely touch there.
When we found out you're at school with Rob Beckett, was on 8 out of 10 Cats was the time that I saw it.
Oh yes, he outed me like that, didn't he?
Yeah. Well, you sort of brought it up. I think I remember. But the bit that I remember most is you talking about him talking about you used to dress as a Victorian.
Yes, it's true, Jim. It's true. I did. Yeah. Well, I think, basically a fantasist, and basically loved the idea of, I think, just being this sort of suburban boy in Bromley, and just sort of wanted a bit of like magic or a bit of like, I don't know. I just sort of had this kind of longing to be in this past world, which of course, if I was living in Victorian times, would have been hell. Would have been awful. I probably would have been mucking out a stable every day. But in my mind, it felt very, sort of fabulous. And I do try and echo a lot of Victorian or sort of 19th century clothing in the things I wear, because they were very good at making men look good in clothes. Tailoring of that era is very... I mean, I don't know if you're into tailoring at all, Tim, but
you've come dressed very smart today, but you're off to do something.
Well, I'm off to do a charity gig at the Apollo tonight, but I don't like to talk about my charity work.
What are you doing it? Who are you doing it with?
It's Michael McIntyre's show that he does, and there's a lot of nice people doing it, and it's for a couple of nice causes. But yes, it should be a lot of fun.
I always like it. Is there lots of comedians on the bill?
Yes, we're all doing 10 minutes, but will we stick to 10 minutes? Probably not. It'll drag on.
I always like that, because I host the Teenage Cancer Trust gig sometimes at the Royal Albert Hall.
Oh, yes, I've done that. That's nice.
And when I do comedy night, there's all the comics go out, and whether you like it or not, you are sort of in competition with each other, because you're watching each other and watching the reaction of the crowd. Do you enjoy that type of thing?
I think it's important to enjoy it, really. And I think as long as you go, look, we're all different. That's the beauty of comedy, is that everybody's got a different voice. Everybody's got something different to tell. And sometimes some people will strike a chord with people on one day, but they won't on another, and it all works out fine. And I think all everybody wants to do is just offer something, bring something new to the table. That's all you can do. So I think you can drive yourself quite round the bend, really, if you worry about all those things.
Can you just move your pop shield down a bit, just so that we can see your face? If people are watching, when it
looks like I'm wearing a veil.
when you started out, you obviously toured supporting people.
Yes, I supported Sarah Millican for a long time, and
and a few others I've read. Is it hard then not to start copying what they're doing?
Well, maybe, but I think I've always had sort of quite a sort of strange way of talking, and a particular sort of rhythm. Somebody did an impersonation of me on Twitter the other day, but unfortunately I can't stand my own voice, so I couldn't watch it. But you learn from each other. But I think it's some people do, but I always try and stick to my guns. I think I've always tried to. I think all you can do as a comic is represent the world from your own shoes. So you really want to be as specific as possible. So I think
when I was reading about you, though, it sort of makes out that you were an overnight success. That you started one day, and and then you were 22 years old, and you won UK's most prestigious comedy newcomer awards. So You'll Think You're Funny in 2005, and then the same year you won the BBC New Comedy Award, and it all happened like that. Is that the reality of it?
Yes, I did those, and then just 12 to 14 years later, I started to get on television a bit. So I guess that's an overnight success. 12 to 14 years of nights there, over those nights. But I think those newcomer competitions were helpful, and I think I probably was successful in them because I sounded different. But in reality, I had a long way to go to A, understand myself, and B, understand the craft of being a comedian, which I think there's no substitute for doing it. Like, I really did have to go out and do gigs in sort of obscure places and pubs where there'd be 3 people in the audience, and rooms where they're really not into what I do, and you just try and find ways to basically just open the door for everybody. So you go, it's okay, I'm different to the last person, but you'll be all right, come with me. And I think you'll also, because you spend that time on your own, and essentially you're just talking about yourself, you do learn to be a lot more comfortable with yourself. And I think for me, it's been a journey to be a bit more happy with myself, really. Because I think if people see a sort of a slightly nervous person, or they see a slightly unhappy person, they mirror that. Human beings naturally mirror each other. So I found that actually it's been a journey to sort of try and be more at ease with myself. And I think in achieving that, perhaps that's been the thing that's sort of allowed me to do more stuff.
So at 22 years age is when you started?
Yeah.
So you literally started winning awards?
Yes, I've been going about 6 months, just sort of doing little gigs and stuff.
That's
but
incredible, though.
I never did the open mic circuit in the way that I think some people do. I sort of did it through, like, friends of mine were doing a night, and I'd tell a story. I've always really been interested in telling stories. And so I did it that way. I didn't do the open mic thing, because I think that can be a bit intense.
So, Scott, so how did you do it? You thought...
Well, I just sort of, friends of mine would do, like, a night, if they were doing, like, a band night, or, like, some sort of... anything really, and I would go along and just do a bit, and I did that for a few months, and then I did those newcomer competitions.
You just stand up and tell a story?
Yeah, kind of thing, yeah. Which sort of is a nightmare, really, but I quite enjoyed the thrill of it. And at that time, it was very blokey. Stand up was still very blokey at that point. It was very much like older straight men telling jokes, and I knew I wasn't that. And I think the fact that I was doing something totally different and sort of telling stories and being this kind of camp persona meant that they went, well, I don't like this very much, what's this all about, who's this? Or they went, oh, there's something different about this, okay, we'll go with it. And that's what it felt anyway. So I've sort of, a lot of the time it was a journey to go, actually, I can do this. And I kind of enjoyed being the sort of unusual one on a bill, or the unusual person in a situation. So
Do you think it's still quite a blokey thing?
Much less so. I think there's still lots of corners of it. And there's still a sort of thing of being quite... bombastic, like you have to sometimes in certain rooms have to be quite bombastic to sort of get heard, but I think happily that's changing.
What does that mean?
Well, just sort of quite loud, and I suppose quite blokey traditionally, or kind of quite bold in a room to get people's attention. But I think happily that's changing, and people are coming to stand up going, actually, I want to hear different stories, and I want to hear different voices, and I want to hear different experiences, and actually I'm prepared to listen to this person. I'll give them the benefit of the doubt. Whereas I think when I was first starting out, a lot of the time it was like there was no, and there's still places like this, but there's no certain rooms where they'd be like, there's no time to like establish yourself, get comfortable on stage, because the audience is like, what's this? Make me laugh now, or I'm not interested, I'm bored. Yeah. And they I think there was still that sort of sense of like they were keen to pull you down.
Yeah, I was listening to you on a podcast the other day. Your
You've
pod.
done a lot of research, Tim.
I
didn't
know,
expect
I
this
like
to be
to- I like
so
to
thorough. I just thought I was sitting in the kitchen like my mum used to have coffee mornings with the neighbours, and sometimes Auntie Christine would come around, and Mum would get out the cups with saucers.
What would she discuss? Politics?
I was never allowed in the room for that, Tim. But I think it was I don't think it was politics. I think it was more to do with. What would be politely told to me as women's problems, and then I would know not to ask any more questions. And
we could discuss women's problems, or we could talk about when you were on a podcast. You've got your own podcast, which
I do.
I'm desperately searching for the name of it because I can't remember.
It's called Like-Minded Friends, and I do it with my friend Susie Ruffle. And we did that. We wanted to do a thing that was sort of reaching out to not exclusively, but to the queer community. So we talk about kind of things through I suppose a gay lens, literally rose-tinted glass, and so just sort of talking about it, because we realised that there wasn't that much at that point around for that for that voice, and we've got lots of lovely messages from people all around the world actually tuning into it. That's the beauty of podcasts, isn't it? People listen to it. I always think they're the vestige of the lonely. People listen to them in their, when they're feeling a bit alone.
Yeah. Well, you're never alone if you've got a podcast.
You're never alone if you've got a podcast.
Exactly.
That's it, isn't it?
Yeah.
That should be the slogan for some sort of podcast provider. But yeah, so we kind of enjoy that kind of chat, and we just have a chat and sort of see it as like.
Well, one of the bits I was listening to you, and you both said when you came out on stage, you often say, you start with, "Hey, I'm gay." both of you, because that's a way of cutting to the chase, of not having to explain the whole backstory before you get stuck into your material.
I think for people who don't know you, it gives you a sort of frame for them to see. Go like, oh right, okay, we know what this is.
Right.
I think always human beings need to go like, okay, what is it? And when I first started out, I wasn't really out. I mean, it was kind of ridiculous, the idea that I had to come out. But, I pointed to my earlier point about dressing in Victorian clothing. But and being obsessed with cookery, but yes, as I think that it made sense just to be like, look, I'm gay, so that's it. And I think people go. My dad has always said this to you: the world takes you at your own valuation. So if you go out there and go, I'm this, I'm confident with it, so don't even start on that.
Yeah.
We're going to deal with that first. Okay, now I'm going to tell you some other things. People go, oh, all right, I guess he's confident. And I think if you go out there and you're a bit unsure of yourself, or they're not immediately at ease with you, they can't quite relax. And often it's an empathetic thing that people go, I'm worried about this person. They don't seem comfortable, therefore I can't laugh. So if you go, I am comfortable with myself, do not worry about it. They go, all right, well, I guess he's comfortable. Okay, fine.
But what age did you come out then?
So I came out probably when I was about 21, which is quite late.
It is, yeah. Why does it take long?
Well, I think it sort of feels, at times it sort of felt like a kind of, you've almost, it's not a confrontation, but you've got to make this big statement, which feels like you've got to go, hey, listen. You're going to have this really embarrassing kind of moment when you're young, and I didn't know how people would react. And I think, like my family, there wasn't anybody who was openly out in my family that I was familiar with, so I didn't have those role models, and there weren't really people on television at that point when I was 21, which was about 2004. There were a few more coming through, but there weren't as many really, and so it felt like a bit of a frightening thing. And I told my mum first, and then she said, oh, I would wait before telling your dad. I don't know how he'll respond. So I waited, and I told him on the phone. And actually, he was more emotional. He got more emotional than I had ever expected. He got quite emotional. But I think because it's sort of, I don't know, it's always assumed in the films that the dads are the ones who are like, get out of my house.
Yeah.
But actually, often it's men they're just more bottled up about it. They're still very emotional. They're just sort of, and I think he found it kind of like, oh, I don't know, sort of something that I guess he saw as being quite difficult. But
what was interesting about your podcast is you started talking about being trolled, and Susie had been trolled for doing some TV show where she'd been in bed with another woman. And, and trolls were saying it's disgusting, and you were talking about that sort of thing, and it was really funny because I was sitting listening to it from a straight man's point of view and thinking,
but this kitchen.
Do you know, I spent a lot of my youth with people saying I was gay. It was really
Did you?
I used to dress quite flamboyantly when I was younger, and but I didn't care about it. I always thought it was kind of a compliment that people would think that. But it was funny because I think straight men are not aggressive. I don't know whether it was straight men or straight women. I think they're scared. And I think it's a fear. I was listening to it thinking, I know what's happening here. I remember going to a gay pub in Hampstead with my mates.
George, was it? Yeah.
And all my mates are very like, oh, football, come on, birds, and all that sort of stuff. Let's drink pints. We're in this pub, and then suddenly everyone starts going, oh my God, there's no women in here. And then someone goes, no, we're in a gay pub. We're in a gay pub. Panic. I just remember laughing so much as some of them were so panicked because they thought, oh, we're in a gay bar. This is horrific. Well, and I was like, well, what do you think is going to happen to you?
Exactly.
Exactly. And they're like, drink up. And it was the pure fear which made me laugh. And another occasion, I was in America, and I was in what's it called? Santa Monica Boulevard or something.
In West Hollywood.
Yeah, and it was all the Queer Nation flags up, and I was with my mate, and he was like, "God, get out of here! We've got." It's like, what are you talking about? Why are you so scared? And I think it's fear, and I think that's what people don't understand.
And I guess I don't know, but I guess it's sort of linked. A lot of the time, it's that sort of male group. So like, well, the one thing that bonds us all together is we're not gay. Like it's always that sort of. I don't know if that's true. I've not really hung out in that sort of, as you describe them, football, birds. But it's interesting, and I think it is. I happily it's changing, but I think there's still a sort of, I don't know, there's that sort of group mentality that they feel a bit like you say scared or threatened, and
Definitely.
actually it's a way of being like, oh
yeah, because when
we're
Susie
not
was saying that, people are saying it's disgusting and all that sort of, I can't remember what the conversation, what was the
yes,
program
I do
about?
remember,
I can't remember
we were
now.
talking about, I think we were talking about,
But all I could
negativity or
think of,
something,
all these people who are commenting, they're just going, I don't understand it, so I'm scared of it, so I'm
Yeah.
going to get rid of it. And it's the same as I think a lot of racism in this country. I don't understand it, what's going on, get rid of them.
Right,
And I think that's where
maybe.
it comes from.
Maybe. Well, I don't. I mean, yes, it's an interesting one. I think in terms of sort of the homophobia, I found that I think it is a fear thing, and sometimes I think it's a bit of a resentment thing in that as a queer person, I would say queer because I always think that's a sort of broader term to include anybody who sort of feels on the outside. But if you've sort of been able to go, I don't want to live as part of the mainstream. I don't want to have to sort of tick the boxes that a lot of people in mainstream society feel they have to do, and I'm just going to live my life as I please. I think a lot of people are like, well, that's not very fair. I had to do all that. You know what I mean? Like, well, I would have liked a nice kitchen, but I didn't have a nice kitchen. I was told I had to, I was told I wasn't allowed to wear bright colours, so I didn't wear bright colours.
Yeah.
And I think there's maybe that sort of resentment a bit, which is interesting.
Well, Tom Davis on this, and we were discussing the being a lad, really, and the peer pressure of having to drink alcohol and pints and whatever, and how it gets really tiresome after a while. That every time you're out, you go, oh God, let's go drinking, let's go drinking.
Yeah, I've got blokey friends like that.
Yeah, and I suppose that's part of the culture. So what are your audiences like now who turn up?
Well, I mean, I'm on tour at the moment, and I started this tour in September last year, 2017. And so it's been about 160 dates, or maybe 200 if you include Edinburgh, but a long time. And it's been wonderful. And when I started out, I didn't know who would come. And I thought, it'll be 3 gays and their mum. And actually, what's been lovely is that it's not just been gay people at all. It's been like, it's been loads of couples, loads of older people, loads of younger people. People bring their children. There've been groups of lads coming. In one show, I had a group of like market traders, and I literally said to them, "Have you come to the wrong show?" And they were lovely. And I think and that's my what does that say about me? But I think that it's been really nice, and I like to think that actually what I talk about, which is largely insecurity and feeling ill at odds in the world, and portraying it as snobbery, but in reality it's just fear, is actually quite universal. That everybody sort of feels like that. And I think that's why snobbery comes in, for example, is that people are like, well, I don't want people looking down their nose at me. Well, I'm going to be getting first and go, oh, I didn't like what they did in that, and I don't like what they're wearing. So I think, I found that there's something quite universal about it, and it's been lovely for me.
When did you realise you were funny?
I've always liked being funny, and my mum has always been funny, and we've always used humour and comedy as a sort of tool of communication, really, and a way of sort of seeing the world. My mum always taught me that. She'd always, when she got fed up, when she was working, she was a receptionist for a lot of it, and before that she worked in a shop, and I think she always often found it quite boring, but she said to liven up the day, she'd always try and sort of imagine them as sort of Dickensian characters coming in, or sort of like various kind of comedy characters. My mum always sort of has used humour like that. And my dad's family come from a family of sort of storytellers. They love telling stories. And I think that combination, from a very early age, I just sort of enjoyed being different, and I enjoyed the attention that brought.
And how long were you doing it before you actually, you're on stage, you're doing your gigs, you're supporting Sarah Milligan and all that. So how long before you actually thought, I'm pretty good at this, I'm now a stand-up?
Oh, I don't think I've ever got to that point, really.
You must.
I enjoyed. I know I like doing my shows, and I know that I've worked hard on those shows, and that seems to pay off. So I'm very proud of that. But I think you never feel like, oh, well, I've got it now. Do you know what I mean? Like you never feel like, oh well, I don't need to worry anymore, because you always think, oh God, that's not truthful, that's not authentic, that's not quick enough. That you always want to find new ways of finding things funny. You always got to write new shows. Like after this tour finishes, I'm having to write a new show, and I've allowed some time for that, but it's terrifying, really.
How long have you been touring this one for?
For 18 months.
18 months. Do you get how much has it changed throughout the course of it?
Well, it doesn't change very much because I think, well, if I'm going to start writing new things, I'll put them in the new. But I think as well, it keeps it cleaner that way because otherwise there's a risk if you do a bit if you do a bit on this tour, that you end up putting in the next tour. People are like, I've seen him do that.
Is there never a time though that you think, why am I, before you're going out on stage, I've done this, I just can't be bothered to do it again? Or...
No, I never feel like that because I always think it's a different. The joy of live stand-up is that it's a live experience.
Yeah.
And so I enjoy talking to the audience as well.
Yeah, you interact with the audience, don't you?
I sort of say hello to them at the beginning, and just because I want to acknowledge the fact that it is a live experience and that we're all in it together, and we're all, we're all, this will never happen again. Like, I mean, I've got set bits that I do in the show, but this experience with us all here in this room in Bognor Regis or Stornoway or Weston-super-Mare or Cleckheaton, or this room with these people with this show will never ever happen again, and so we have to make it feel live, and that's what really excites me because and I enjoy meeting them. Like I think it's a real thrill of my life is that you get to walk out and meet a new group of people every night.
And as the 18 months have gone on, have the audiences gone up? Have you played to more people?
Yes, happily, yes. I mean, when it started out, it was sort of couldn't quite fill an art centre, and then we sort of getting to the tail end of the tour, and I sold out the London Palladium.
How was that?
That's a nice feeling. But not to be, I mean, that's very grand of me to reference that, very immodest of me. I only said my mum and dad were there, and I put them in the royal box. And, as well, like it got to the end of the show, and I just did a couple of thanks because it felt like sort of a high point of this point of the tour. And I said a few thank yous, and I said, and some other people I'd like to introduce you to are my mum and dad, and I put them in the royal box. And so I turned to gesture them, and there was a light on them went up, and they loved it. Mum and dad loved it, and the audience really clapped for them. And I couldn't, I glimpsed up, and then I was like, oh God, I can't look, I'm going to start crying. So I was like, so I had to look away. But it was very, it was very special. Like it was nice, and like anything in life, I think any achievement, it's really important. You've had a hard day, it's important to celebrate it, isn't it? Have a nice meal, sit down, and say, look what we achieved today. And that felt like one of those that felt like a big milestone, really. And I suppose coming up to 14 years in January since I did my first gig, felt like a nice marker to sort of,
as you say, overnight success. But it does 14 years,
yeah.
But it does feel like that you've now moved into a different league from where you were. People are talking about you more and more. Do you feel that?
A bit, yeah. Of course, that would be a nice thing to celebrate, but of course all I manage to do is go, oh God, gonna keep delivering, okay. But I suppose that's what keeps me motivated. But it's been nice. Yeah, people will sometimes come up to me and say hello, or they say, like somebody at the station the other day went, my brother used to work with your dad. And I went, oh yeah, he got sacked though. And, anyway. and you didn't really know what to say.
What is the next bit though? You write another show that you book bigger.
I'd hope so.
Yeah.
Maybe some bigger venues, but it's not. I mean, I've really enjoyed the venues I've done on this tour. I mean, it's whoever will come, really. You just have to suss it out.
Yeah, but how does that work? Because you must be right. You've sold out the London Palladium. That holds quite. How many does that hold?
Like 5 million.
That's a lot, isn't it?
That's a lot.
That is a lot.
In fact, I think Sunday Brunch really helped with that. By the way, I should have said thank you. I should have sent you. I should be giving you this bottle of wine. I think that really helped with the sales of that.
I think you're brilliant on the show. You always deliver on the show, and it's interesting. We have a lot of comics come on. And you're one of the ones who really delivers. It's Simon and myself. We always look through the list of all the guests, and we go, when your name comes up, it's like, oh, thank God for that, because you guarantee you're going to have some fun and you're going to have some laughs. Joe Lycett's another one like that.
Yeah.
You get the names come on.
That's
Johnny
so nice.
Vegas, these guys, and
such
it's
nice people.
Well, it's great. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh well, I think. Yes. I mean, it's I suppose you, like I say, you just get more relaxed with yourself, and I think in doing that. You do feel comfortable just playing around, and I think that actually there's almost a duty to do that, because I think there's lots of people, as I was as a young person, felt like, oh God, am I allowed to be flamboyant? Am I allowed to be enthusiastic about, Judy Garland or cooking and Le Creuset and table settings? And am I allowed to be enthusiastic about these sort of weird things, seemingly weird? And actually, you sort of have a duty to be like that as an adult, to go, yes, you can be whatever you want to be. If you've got an interest in cookerhoods, then let that be your passion. Like, it's okay. Whereas I think a lot of the world is like, no, you can't, don't do that. And I think, we say about trolling and all that sort of negativity that, not all, but sometimes occasional negativity, one sees, and I know a lot of particularly comedians get it. A lot of people get it online, and you go. And you realise that it's just those people going, no, I wanted to be like that. How dare you be like skipping through the fields? I wanted to be that. And I think you almost have a duty to go, look, I know you've had a difficult time of it, but it's my job to sort of be my full self. And because it hopefully acts as a role model to other people that you can live your life to the full. It doesn't matter what your job is, but you can be yourself to the full extent of that and be as happy as you possibly can, be as silly as you can, be as playful as you can, because we only get one life. And as my friend said to me when I came out, none of us are here for a long time. We're here for a good time. And so, we may as well...
that.
I like that. So, we may as well enjoy it.
When I used to do Sunday brunch years ago... the sort
you still do Sunday brunch?
Oh, I do, yeah. I forgot that, yeah. I do once a week. When I do Sunday brunch, I used to take my phone on to set with me, and I used to tweet. And I remember being conscious that I started reading Twitter whilst I was on the show, which I know a lot of the guests do.
Yeah.
And I would like to say to the guests, don't do it, because you start getting your act critiqued halfway through a 3-hour show. Now, I had to stop because I found sometimes they'd say such horrific things to me that I would start thinking, oh, I've really upset the nation.
Oh, yes, and you realise it's not...
No,
not
you
those,
haven't.
Yeah.
So I now don't ever take a phone on set, and I don't ever read Twitter for a good few hours afterwards, especially if it's a good show, because it brings you straight down.
Yes.
As a comic, it must be really hard when you're doing your act and you're funny, and then you get people who start slagging you off, critiquing you, even being homophobic. I
sort of came into stand-up... I suppose stand-up probably was helped by social media. And I remember when I first started out, you'd see kind of people using, sometimes people being very negative. And I used to think, gosh, I'm the only person who's experiencing this. Oh, God, I'm a terrible person. Oh, God, I'm an awful person inflicting my act on people.
Yeah.
And then you realise every comic was
Everyone's
getting it. Everyone
yeah.
was too ashamed to say it in a way because it was just so personal. And I'd be upset about it for days. And then as Twitter came out and lots of other things, and you go, you'll get so many nice messages, and then you will get a few people who just don't like you. And actually, it's a good lesson to go, well, sometimes people don't like you, but that doesn't mean you should hide your light under a bushel. Because otherwise, we all sort of struggle with negativity, I think, in our way.
Yeah.
So I think that you just got to learn to carry on without it. And I think as times when you just go, oh, it doesn't matter.
Do you think social media positives outweigh the negatives? I mean, obviously on a marketing terms they do.
I would say
what
on the
about?
whole, I've had lots of lovely interactions with lots of lovely people, and I've been very grateful for that, especially on this first tour. People have been so lovely and so kind, and that's felt lovely and really nice to sort of have that connection with people. But occasionally you get something negative, or it'll catch you just at the wrong moment, or the negative one will stay with you longer than the positive one, which is stupid. But it's a learning curve, isn't it? And again, you just learn to just sort of be comfortable with yourself, so that doesn't affect you.
I've always said the one that I hate most is the one where someone says, I used to really like you too.
Oh, yeah.
What happened to you?
Yeah.
No,
but you know that they do
please
that.
like me.
Also, those people who put those negative comments up, when you realise they're just doing it because they want to get a response from you.
Yeah.
So it's very important that you don't respond.
I haven't
go,
responded for years.
It's very sensible in a way.
Yeah.
If people are going to be like that, certainly don't respond, because I think they just want you to get agitated, and then they feel like they've achieved something. They probably didn't know who you were till that day. They just know that will get you. That will get anybody's back up. Similarly, I've had people go like, oh, "I really like you. My family all roll their eyes when you come on the television, but I think you're brilliant." I'm like, you didn't need to include the extra bit, mate.
Yeah, I treat my social media feeds like it's Disney. I only do the positive stuff. That's it. Dun, dun, dun,
Yeah, sure.
So it's to sell myself.
You don't deserve, no one deserves to be sort of flagellated for just being like, I just tried to entertain you for a little bit.
Yeah.
I don't think. I mean, maybe it's grounding. I suppose then I would be lying if I said I didn't read it and it didn't upset me. But
that's the problem, isn't it? Because we all do a bit of it, don't we?
Yeah.
Did when you come on Soccer M? Soccer M. That was
Soccer
my
M.
old show. When you
I've
come
never
on,
been on. Do you think I'd be good on Soccer M?
Yes,
Give
you
me a totally
would.
outsider perspective.
Yes, you
I don't know
would.
any- I've never ever played a game of football
Why?
because I think I always felt like it was something it wasn't for me, and I've always been very sensitive about my shins.
But you might be really good at football.
Maybe I would.
What
but
sport do you do?
swimming.
Yeah.
It's not really a sport though. It's not.
No, it
not a
is. I
team sport.
swim. I like swim. What you do? How many lengths do you do?
Oh, I try and do 30. I've been really out of practice recently, actually.
Right.
But I do like it when I got into a bit of a phase of doing it. And I do try and go to the gym. But I Yeah, I would like to be in a team for something. I know people who do like volleyball and stuff, or even roller derby. People who do roller derby.
Dodgeball, do that.
Yeah, it's
I
wild.
I did a bit of dodgeball.
A friend of mine does it in Milton Keynes.
Yeah.
Very frightening.
I got sort of banned from my dodgeball.
Why, Tim?
Because I got angry. I've got a real problem with red mist when I play sport. I'm
Really, Tim?
I'm a little
So what
competitive.
happened? Did you? I mean, the idea of you being angry is intriguing to me. I can't imagine you being an angry person. But also the idea of somebody being
You
angry.
called me angry on Sunday brunch.
Oh yes, you did.
You said I was an angry straight man.
You did get your dad tone on a bit there, didn't you? Yeah.
Hurry up!
Yes.
Come on, hurry up! Hurry up.
Yeah, no, but it's that thing of like, you always see it with like you are a parent, aren't you, Tim?
Yes, I am. Yes.
Yeah, I remember it, and you'd see it sometimes when you're around other people's houses that like the parents would go from like this is fun, waiting for everyone to put their shoes on, but now this isn't fun, and get in the car. And I just saw that come in with you. But the idea of being angry and being on roller skates is very amusing to me.
I wasn't on rolling skates. I was playing dodgeball.
Oh, is dodgeball not on roller skates?
No.
Oh, they do roller derby. They do it on roller skates.
Yeah, I can't roller skate.
And the idea of being angry on roller,
No, I was dodgeball. That's the one where they throw balls at each other.
Oh, and you got angry. And why did someone throw a ball at your face?
No, someone cheated. I don't know.
But people always seem to cheat all the time. Football, they seem to cheat all the time.
Yeah, and I hate it.
But they seem to do it all the time.
Yes,
Everyone's
they
always
do.
going on about the dives.
Yes, they do, and I hate it.
I mean,
I hate it. It frustrates the hell out of me. I've always struggled with it.
But why is it not the case that if there's a cheater, they just you can't play anymore? Why don't they do that?
Well, they should do that, but
Right,
they don't.
Why don't they turn their backs on no, they cheat.
Yeah.
They're not allowed to play.
Well, they should do that. There was a very famous footballer at Chelsea called Didier Drogba. Do you know him?
Of course not.
He was our striker for years, but he used to go down all the time, right? Yeah.
I wonder who's there for a long time.
He used to dive a lot, and a lot of other football fans won't believe me, but I used to just get so frustrated with this guy who was such a great footballer. He was one of the best strikers we've ever seen at Stamford Bridge, the home of football where Chelsea play, and he just used to dive all the time, and I used to get so frustrated with it because it's boring to watch. I don't want to watch people dive constantly, but
what does it even mean? What is diving?
diving is when
Is it when you go skid forward and you go down?
it's when you're feigning an injury or.
Is that a dive? Is that what a dive is?
Well, no, when you're pretending you've had contact with another player and you actually haven't. And what frustrates me is that when they hold their faces when they do it. I didn't imagine we'd get into a football conversation.
No, but I'm always intrigued by it, Tim, because my brother always played on a Saturday and I never wanted to. My brother's he's a very good sports person. He plays golf as well. He plays off 5. Apparently, that's good.
That's very good.
Yeah. My dad's always-
Did you never even in the World Cups? You never thought I'll give this a
They have
go.
a World Cup of golf.
No, football.
Oh,
They have the Ryder Cup in golf. Actually, they did play well.
I should be more into it, especially with those blazers. My dad's a coach driver, and I always thought those green blazers are very coach drivery. But the football, I did a little bit, actually. I did a little bit get into it when we were doing well. And I thought Gareth Southgate, he looks good in a waistcoat, doesn't he? I thought he was very nice. And I think it was a bit of positivity. Everybody sort of got behind him. I felt that was sort of it felt like they were really cherishing a moment of good sportspersonship and nice attitudes. It felt like everyone really got behind the positivity of the team. And I don't think there were many dives. Were there dives?
Well, there are dives in the World Cup. There's always dives, but I thought it was a good competitive World Cup. I liked it.
Yeah, everybody seemed to have a lovely time.
Yeah.
I did watch a couple of games. It was very stressful, isn't it? And when it goes to penalties, I can't bear it.
Oh, I quite like that.
Do you?
Yeah, the excitement of the penalties.
Oh,
yeah.
that's the thrill of it, I suppose, isn't it?
Yeah.
When am I going to live my life, Tim? So frightened of everything all the time.
Yeah, stop being frightened. David Goggins, do you know David Goggins?
Of course not.
He always says if you're not look him up. He's good. He's quite mentally. He says if you're not feeling uncomfortable every day, you're not alive.
That is true. So
he likes to sort of run 100 miles a day, and he's got the chin up championship. He's the record. Record. He's obsessively.
Chinny record. Is that what they call
chinny
it?
record. No, chin up record.
They should call it that.
Chinny record.
Like Chinny record. What does that even mean? Chinny record. Was that thing when you were at school? People would say they would.
Chinny. No, what they say? Chinny. Jimmy Hill. Chinny. I don't know. That's when you lie.
They say beard. They go like beard. Beard you did.
Chinny.
You'd be like, oh yeah, I played football yesterday and I scored 5 goals. And people were like, beard you did.
Chinny whack whack.
Chinny what?
Whack whack, wasn't it?
Chinny whack whack.
That's what they said at
That's
my
what
school. That's what Rob Beckett was saying whilst you were dressed as a Victorian.
Probably, yeah. Probably, yeah.
So what do you do at the gym then? Do you do
Well,
running?
I've fallen into the trap of sometimes using a trainer, and then of course once you use a trainer, you can't really go on your own because you feel like an idiot. So the trainer's good. Do you have a trainer when you go to the gym? Do you go on your own?
Yeah, I do.
Oh, isn't it lonely though?
No.
Do you,
I listen to podcasts. When you listen to a podcast, you're never alone.
the slogan of today. The trouble is, I think you've got to not have your phone with you because it's so easy when in the rest moments to just start checking social media.
There's where you're fundamentally going wrong. There is no rest moments when you go to the gym. You keep exercising.
Yeah, but what, do you superset everything? Yeah,
What
I know
does
about
superset mean?
that. Oh, Tim.
Is that when you...
It's when you do, I think this is right, it's where you do, say you were doing like a bicep curl.
Yeah.
So you do bicep curls, and then rather than resting between sets
Yeah.
for a minute, you do maybe a tricep pull down.
Yes.
So you do that, but that's supersetting it, so you don't rest.
Yeah.
But you're resting the bicep because you're using the tricep,
Right.
but you're not physically resting, you're sort of making use of the time.
Yeah, that's
but
all I
sometimes
do.
if you go to the gym at the busy periods when all the bigger boys go, i.e. after... In my gym, it's around about after 4 when all the builders come off the site and they go down there to show off their tattoos. And so from about 4 or 5 o'clock, it's very busy and it's very testosterone, very aggressive place. And then you can't really superset because you can't occupy more than one thing. Although some people will, and they do it in a really aggressive way, and I don't like
Yeah,
that.
I'm always curious of people who are standing around waiting in between sets. I'm like, what are you doing? Why didn't you do something else whilst you're waiting to go back to do that one? Do something else.
Do you think?
Keep your heart rate up? Yeah, keep going.
Keep your heart rate up, then you're burning the fat. How often do you go to the gym? Do you go every day? I bet you do.
I try to go, quite a lot. But I swim. I do.
Do you swim? Oh,
yeah,
really?
I like swimming.
You
I'm
always-
not great at swimming, but I do like it.
No, it's good. It doesn't matter.
It's full
as long as you-
workout, isn't it?
Yeah, that's what. And actually, it's good
Yes.
for the brain. I think. I always feel like if I go in with a problem, I'll have it in my head. Do the swimming, get out. Problem's okay.
I think it's good for my what's it called? Mindfulness.
Mindfulness. All that.
Because as I go down the lane, I count. So
Yes.
one.
Yes,
one.
I do that. I do that.
Two.
Why? Yeah, that is
That
exactly
just-
what mindfulness is, isn't it?
that
We
is
used to
it.
call
You
it
do-
swimming.
You do
Now you have to
nothing.
have an app to do it with. Yeah, but that is true.
Yeah, and all I do is count. So it's
Yes,
like
that's exactly what it
yeah.
is. And if there's a problem, I'll be like, problem, what is the problem? What is the problem?
Yeah.
Like, think it through, have it in my head. As I move, and people say, a friend of mine did a management course, and she said they encourage them to go out, if they had a problem, they go out and walk while they're talking about it.
Walking's the best thing ever.
Because it's a metaphorical
Yes.
thing, because you're walking through the problem. You're
Yeah.
not static in the problem, sat down with the problem where it's always going to be there. You walk through the problem, and then you keep walking and you keep moving through it, and that's really good.
A wise man once said to me, he was
Or
talking
woman.
to it was a wise man, though he was a man. He said to me, are you meditating, Tim? And I said, well, I'm trying to, but I'm really struggling with it. And he said, just go for a walk. It's so much better than meditation for you because it's so much easier. This is a guy who studied meditation and everything. And he said, that's the best way to start. But you've got to walk slowly, apparently. Don't walk quickly. And take in nature as you're walking along. And it's one of the best ways of getting your mindfulness going.
Because
So
I got the, is it the Headspace app?
Yeah.
Is that the orange
Yeah,
one?
yeah.
And then I foolishly turned on the little daily meditation tip. Oh, that is some passive aggressive bullshit. It's like,
Why?
because I
What do they
don't do
say?
it because I don't use it anymore. And then because if you ever used it, it's always like, "Hello, my name's Cliff" or something. Oh, so hope you're feeling okay today. We're gonna just do a bit of meditation.
he does do it like
You
that.
don't- it's
doesn't
like,
he?
oh,
Yeah.
shut up. And then when you don't do it for a while, the app starts going like, if we don't work on our brains, they're just like a muscle. They waste away, or something really sinister. And you go, oh, I haven't had time to sit there and think about my legs for 10 minutes. You know what I mean? Or half an
Yeah,
hour, whatever
yeah.
it is. Like, don't
Yeah.
give me your bullshit about
Yeah.
like why I should go and do it. Don't make me feel guilty about it.
Whenever I'm anxious, I go for a walk. It's the best way. Are you a ruminator? Do you get things in your head and you
I
just
thought
go
that meant
around?
you just go around the different rooms. I on Pinterest, yes. I do let things go around in my head, and I think
Yeah.
it's when I get. Do you know what? I get tired, or like not physically tired, but like when you haven't had a day off for a while. Then I get into a headspace where I'm like, oh my God, I'm worried about that. Oh my God, I'm so fearful of that and this situation. Or, oh my God, that person must hate me. And then I'm like, it's just because you haven't had a day off.
Yeah.
That's why. And then take a step back, it's fine. But
need
I
rest.
do sort of worry about things. But yeah, I think it's good, isn't it, just to find a way.
Yeah, it must be exhausting going on tour because you spend all your time up and down a motorway and then you...
It's only the travelling that's exhausting. And I used to sleep well in hotel beds, but I don't so much now, I've found. Because you realise all hotels have bangy doors. They all have bangy doors because they've got those like special safety doors on a thing
Oh,
that
yeah,
makes
good
them
point.
slam.
Yeah.
So, I get in, I might not get to a hotel until like 11 or 12. By the time I've got to bed, it's like 1 or 2. well, I don't get up then until 10 or 11, but people getting up to go to work, it's slamming doors from 7 or 8. So it's like bang, 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 bang all the time.
Yeah.
And I don't, sorry, this turned into a very moany podcast. So I don't always sleep that well.
It must be tough though for you, the ups and downs, emotional roller coaster. Because every time you go on stage, because when I come off soccer, I've said soccer again.
Brunch.
I've said
Soccer
it again.
brunch. Why did you do that? Soccer brunch.
Yes.
I'm surprised that isn't more of a thing at the football. Bit of brunch, go out onto the terrace, watch a nice game.
I went to Milan once to
Did
watch
you?
the
I went there.
Milan derby.
Oh, I went to look at that big gallery.
And at half time, I went to the coffee place and I had a panini and a latte. It was amazing.
How
I
times
thought,
have
why don't they
changed.
bring this to British football?
Well, I think it's quite chic there. I went to see, Rob actually took me to see, is it the Gooners?
Yeah.
At the Arsenal, the library.
Emirates, yeah.
The Emirates. And I thought, well, firstly, so he did a gig for them and he got given a box. And he said, come, we're going to go to the box. It was really fun. We went up there. And so we went in, and I thought you had to wear a suit because that's what they always wear when you see them standing in front of that wall with all the words on it. Or if they win like a chance to go to the box in like The Apprentice, people always wear suits. So I wore a suit and I looked like a right div. Everybody else was in their like jumpers and t-shirts, and I was like all dressed up like it was my wedding day. But it's sort of quite chic. Have you ever been in a box? Yes, you have. It's kind of interesting, isn't it? Because you get like this sort of hotel room with literally a wardrobe where you're allowed to hang up your coats, but it's sort of slightly too small for all the people that are allowed in there. So Rob, bless him, like maxed it out. So we were all there, and then there's like a person who like takes your coats off.
Yeah.
So it's like walking into an airplane, but an airplane that's the size of this kitchen island. And then they're like, oh, and now we're gonna have some food, but there's no room to put the food out. It's like it's like a mum and dad party, like a Christmas, like a Boxing Day buffet, but in like in the downstairs toilet. It's that small. Like it's sort of so cramped in there, and there's like a tiny table where they put out like very nice food and everything. It was really lovely, but at the same time you are like, what? Like, this hasn't been thought through at all. And then you go and sit, but it's nice when you can go and sit outside. But you can't take booze outside, can you?
No, they won't let you take booze outside.
Why? And they all even bring down the blinds.
It's because in Britain we're thugs, or England, I don't know which. I assume the law's the same in Scotland, but I'm not sure. But yeah, in England, the Premier League and Wales, it's we're thugs and we can't be trusted with alcohol outside.
Right?
I don't know really. Why is it?
I bet in Milan they have an Asti Spumante on the terrace, don't they?
Years ago, you could drink at football, and then it all got banned because of all the trouble going on.
But I suppose as well, like in a lot, in Italy,
you can drink around the back now. There was a stage that I think they banned alcohol totally from football grounds. Now you're allowed to drink again, but not out on the.
Well, it was quite civilized, really. We did have a nice hot chocolate and sat on the terrace.
Who were Arsenal playing?
I can't remember, I'm afraid.
What was
it was
the
all
score?
up the other end. I never
Always
saw
is.
them. You don't really see very
Always
much as
is.
well from the terraces.
Well, the terraces from the box.
The box, is that different to the terraces?
Yeah. Well, what do you mean you don't see?
It's
I
all
thought
over
Emirates
there, isn't it?
Well, it doesn't have to be. Hold on.
Well, it
There's
does
two
that-
halves.
Oh yeah, they do switch around, don't they? I nearly got that messed up. I think it might have been Chelsea they played.
Really?
It's about a year ago.
Yeah, they do play Chelsea twice a year, at least.
Do they?
Yeah.
I think it was Chelsea.
Only once at home, though. Or maybe.
I should
unless they
look that
get
up. It's quite an
covered.
exciting game. It all happened in the last minutes. And there were all these, like, it's... You can relax, basically, and then it all gets going when they wave all the flags. That's dramatic, isn't it? When they get all those massive flags out. And they put up another goalpost at the side to have, like, a little practice in.
Yeah, did you notice that? That's
I like
good,
that.
isn't it?
And then there's all that skipping up and down.
Yeah.
I love a bit of skipping
That's
up and
a
down.
full European warm-up they do. Yeah.
Do they?
To get ready for the game.
I liked it. But then, oh yes, and then afterwards, this was charming. The security guards were really nice, and they were like, "Oh, come and have a look at this." Took us to 2 boxes along just to see where someone had thrown up on a box in a box. Like it was like a thing to go and see. Like, come and have a look at this. And I was like, "What's it going to be?" 2 boxes down, it was just someone had just puked everywhere.
Nice.
They were like, "Look at that! Look at that!" And we're like, "Oh, that's terrible, isn't it?" And we got our coats and went home. It was a lovely time.
I really didn't be expecting to talk to you about football, but it's good. I like your perspective on it.
You
so
know,
it's nice.
I think I would be great on Soccer Am.
Soccer AM, yeah. I'll phone them up and see if I can get you on. I'm still friends with some of them.
Are
there,
you still
yeah.
friends with
Oh,
them?
you'd be good because you could go on there and hang out with the lads.
Oh, I'd like that. I'd like that. Yeah, Crystal Palace is traditionally my team.
Is it?
Yeah, well, my family's team.
Right, okay.
My grandfather was a big supporter of them, and my cousins in Australia, one of them still comes over when they were in was it the FA Cup they were in last year?
Were they in the FA Cup?
The
What, the
final.
final? Were they in the FA
I
Cup
think
final
so.
last year? Which I can't remember. From
They
one
didn't win
point,
anyway.
Let's
Lighting in here. I'm just looking on the streaming. This is gorgeous
looks
lighting
beautiful,
you've got
doesn't it?
here, Tim. Really? Oh, it looks like it's very Nigella. Very Nigella Christmas.
I think though, what the problem with it is, everything looks bigger on TV. So I've had a couple of guests turn up and they've gone, "Oh God, your kitchen's smaller than it looks," because I'm watching the stream.
You've done really well with that LED stuff. That's all my mum and dad's friends have got that.
Well,
that LED strips.
Strip, yeah, we can't see that on the strip. It's like little dotty LED.
You've got to get an LED
things,
strip because is it programmed in with the dimmer?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it
Did you
doesn't
have a
change
lighting
things.
designer come in and do it?
No, I didn't. I just
Did it
No, I
yourself?
did it myself. Yeah, I did have a designer do the kitchen though, and she insisted that I had those tiles.
I like those. I like those a lot.
So
I also like the mix of what we call it, a charcoal and a white and a stainless steel. I think people often go with a bit matchy-matchy. I think it's good to vary it.
Oh, good.
Friends of my mum and dad have got a dresser in the kitchen, which they bought new. I thought that was a lovely touch.
Brown.
No, they've painted it plum. It's stunning.
What was it the other day? Philip Mould said it's called brown furniture syndrome. Brown
What's
furniture
that?
syndrome. How no one wants brown furniture anymore. So we were discussing about
Oh,
art
like-
and how if
yeah.
you've got Victorian portraits and stuff, people aren't interested in them anymore. They're devaluing them massively.
Really? I should
And it's
get
the brown furniture syndrome. People used to want brown furniture. Now they all want
new.
white.
What do you got? A resin?
Resin, yeah.
Or is
a bit
it
of
a
resin.
granite? What is this?
It's a bit of resin.
Sorry,
I
you
think.
told me explicitly not to knock the
don't
table.
bang because it comes
Goes
through the mics.
microphone.
But
You
yeah.
should stroke it. It's lovely.
It
Does it
is good,
stain?
isn't it?
Does it
Well,
stain?
no, it doesn't actually. It that's why I got this one. It doesn't stain. Looks like it might do, but it doesn't. So.
You're right with your strawberries and your champagne.
Yeah,
that
that's
was
fine.
a nightmare. Do you remember that Christmas when people got that and they got champagne spilt on their work surface and it wouldn't come out?
No.
That was a thing about 2 or 3 years ago when this sort of thing started to come in.
Oh dear.
Maybe 5 years ago.
Let's get back to you.
Oh, sure.
TV
Coffee
career.
was strong. It's gone right to my head, that coffee. I can feel myself buzzing.
TV career. I always said you like being on live TV, but you're doing quite a bit of stuff at the moment, aren't you?
Been
With
very, very lucky.
with the Bake Off.
Yes, we have a lovely time. And we're working towards a new series of The Professionals that I do with Liam Charles. Him and I present that we host it down in Lewes, down near Lewes in Sussex. We get professionals to do a similar thing to the Bake Off competition. And we had a lovely series this year for Channel 4 with lots of big hotels and professionals.
Didn't you get in trouble though recently with
no, what?
vegan jokes?
No, I will not hear I got into trouble about that. Actually, I was worried. I thought they were going to be... Well, I was a bit scared because the vegan lobby is very strong. And I just thought they won't mind a bit of... Because I, make fun of everybody. And I was a bit light-hearted about making fun of veganism. But actually, they were all right about it, actually. I was a bit sort of cheeky. But I think as well, to be fair to them, they've got a point, because I think we all eat too much meat apart from anything else. I think we could cut down on the amount of
I got in
meat
trouble
and
once
dairy.
for talking about acupuncture. We had someone talking about acupuncture on, I think it was Sunday Brunch years ago or before. It's something for the weekend, even before that. I'm not sure which one it was. And I said, we were discussing acupuncture, and I said, it's lazy medicine. Oh, they said, it's not changed in 1,000 years. And I went, yeah, it's lazy medicine. And I went,
you did,
I went,
Tim. Of course you did.
It's like
Casually.
I said, it's like us doing amputation without anaesthetic. And I just thought it was funny. But people take that stuff really, really seriously.
upset,
And they
don't
get
they?
upset, yeah.
They
And
get
so
upset.
I got in trouble. Are you worried when you write jokes? Do you have to constantly think, am I going to upset anybody? Because everyone seems to be getting upset at the moment. Is this a thing?
There is a bit of that, I suppose. Yeah, I suppose like I suppose you're conscious of it. But I think if you don't do anything unkindly, if you never set out to offend anybody, I think you don't have to worry too much. I think
Yeah.
sometimes there's a risk one can be misunderstood, but I think honestly, if you're a nice person, people are forgiving, aren't they? But yeah, do you worry about it?
Yeah. I spend
You're on live television, I suppose. So
I spend the whole of my life trying not to offend people because even the other day I was joking with I've bored people with this on the podcast, but I was talking to Professor Brian Cox
about... Goodness, I bet you were.
Well, I was just talking about flat Earth messing about, winding him up, saying, God, there must be something in it, Brian. And then the people who really like science got really angry with me that I wasn't taking science seriously enough. Yeah, so it's like atheists these days are fundamentalist atheists. They hate everyone who's into religion.
There's a sense that things are quite polarized.
Science, people who like science hate everyone. Meat eaters hate vegans. Vegans hate meat eaters. Everyone hates each other, and everyone's offended.
And I know we mentioned about social media. I think sometimes we think it's very like that, but that's just because sometimes those voices are the ones that get heard, or that those sort of polarized opinions are the ones that stick out because they go on social media. But actually, there are a lot of people who are a lot more balanced in their perception of the world.
But I suppose
see both sides.
But I suppose media is influenced by that voice, that loudness. So I suppose the newspapers, because it's easy copy, isn't it?
I dare say
for the Express, the Mail Online, Heat, and all that lot to go. He was offended by da 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 da, and there's six people have said it
potentially. So, I don't know. Yeah, I suppose it's sort of important to keep it a bit in perspective, isn't it? Yeah, you just sort of go well, but at the same time, again, newspapers have traditionally they can't be like, well, something slightly happened. They always have to be like, oh my God. Yeah. That's what hooks people in.
Yeah, but you said something brilliant on your podcast, which was that is that the you were saying trolls. I love this because it's such a brilliant way of looking at it. Trolls are the same people who used to turn up for public hangings. You said that. And I just thought that was such a great way of looking at it, because at some stage, people used to turn up to watch people be hanged.
Yeah, because they'd be like, yeah, look at you, done wrong. I would never do wrong like you've done wrong. You should be disgusted. Yeah. You're outrageous. I think anybody who does that, anybody who has that in their psyche to be like, yes, they are outrageous, go like, well, I hope you've never made any mistakes. I mean, it's the same sort of thing I find as a new driver, that like people, like if I happen to just casually slow down on a roundabout to sort of be like, oh, what do the signs say to go to there? What is this my turning? Is the next one? Be like, beep, 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 beep. Like, you want to get out and be like, have you never been on a roundabout? You don't know your way around. Like, obviously, like, I've got a brake light on, so you can see, like, I might be slowing down a bit here. Particularly if it's a 2-lane roundabout, you can easily sort of find a way round. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, there's always, you want to go like, you never made a mistake before. Yeah. And people get so like, oh, get out of the way, you idiot. And it's like, just all calm down. Or everybody just...
Are you still driving your mum's car?
Yeah. Because I was going to buy one, and then my dad said, no, don't get one. You don't realise how much it's going to cost you to run a car. And so I was like, yeah, you're right, I can't run a car. But then I'm like, I think you can. Other people can afford to run a car.
You can run a car.
But I just go, they go, no. I think, true, like I should be saying.
I used to drive this really bad Astra for years. It was a really run-down Astra, white. And I just didn't care, because I'm not really a car person. I don't care particularly. And I just remember feeling such pressure to get a better car when I pulled up at Stamford Bridge, home of football, Chelsea Football Club, one day, and these fans were walking past. One, they went, oh, look, it's Tim Lovejoy from Soccer AM. And the other one went, oh, it can't be him, he's in an Astra. And I thought, no, I need to have my... I wish I'd stayed with it now, but I under peer pressure, I thought, got to go and get myself a car, so I'll go get an Audi or something,
So is that what you did? I bet you got an Audi A3. No, an Audi, what's the Q8 or something? Q3?
I got Q... I have now. But
is that what you've got, really?
Yeah, I do.
That's one of the things I've started doing in my show, is guessing what cars people have got. Since I've
am I cliche? No, I don't want to be cliche.
No, I mean, yes, but... Like, you like... Yeah. I love guessing it.
Go on, guess the colour.
Black.
Yeah. Damn, yeah.
I mean, is it on the driveway, though? I might have gone past it on the way in here.
Yeah.
I might have gone... That must have surreptitiously just sort of got into my mind.
Yeah.
But it's funny, like, what would... Simon, he'd drive, like, something a bit sporty, I reckon. He'd have, like, a coupe. A BMW, maybe?
No, I don't know what he's driving at the moment. He for a while, he had something like a Jag or something.
Oh, did he have a Jag?
Yeah, he had something like that for a while. Yeah.
I've sort of walked into this whole world of cars since passing my driving test just 18 months ago.
What is it you want?
Well, first of all, I was like, oh, maybe I could get like a like a polo. Oh, some of the polos look like a Golf. And I was like, well, it's not much more to get a Golf. Maybe I could get a Golf. And I was like, oh, if I get a Golf, maybe I could get an Audi. And then I'm like, I cannot park. I can't get an Audi. Like friends of mine got Audis. And then the one my dream car to get one day is the Mercedes C-Class Coupe. I think that's the new Coupe, the new C-Class. Because once I went to hire it, because I sometimes hire a car if I'm driving, and they upgraded me to one of their fancy ones. And they said, I said, oh, that's so nice. And it was a Mercedes C-Class 5-door, but it was automatic, and I'd never driven an automatic before. And I didn't tell them because they weren't trusting me with their car as a sort of treat. And, of course, I immediately, tried to use the brake as the clutch. And, leapfrogged out. But now I'm good with automatics.
I've put a deposit down on a Tesla.
Have you?
The new cheap one, yeah, because I feel I've got a conscience.
There isn't a cheap one, Tim.
Well, the cheaper range of it, because I've got a conscience, and I'm driving around. I was sold.
There's a tax break.
But I was sold a diesel car because it was good for the environment. Now it's terrible. But I was sold it, so I'm gonna try and do good.
Well, that's nice. Shall I save up and get a Mercedes, or are they too? I mean, like I say, I can't park. So
I think you should go. Actually, I was going to say go electric.
Got a house.
You can't go electric because you drive up and down to shows. So
that's the problem. Yeah. I was like, I should get an electric, and I'm like, well, I've got 4 hours to find a plug socket. So
how about a mini? The hybrid mini. It's half electric, half. I know nothing about cars. Don't ask me.
No. Well, I did get a mini once. I wasn't that mad on it.
No.
I mean, I never thought I'd be somebody who'd know about cars, and I don't really. And I did say this to a friend of mine recently. I was like, I can't believe how laddie I am. I talk about cars. And he said to me, you talk about cars, but let's get it in context.
Yeah.
Recently, a moment ago, you just described that Audi as having shellac, the same color as shellac nail varnish.
What is shellac?
I think it's like the sort of shiny fake nails you can get in those kind of slightly, it was like a muted taupe or a mushroom color Audi or one car. I can't remember what it was.
You'll be talking about beer next.
I know. I do quite like a real ale.
Do you? I love a real ale.
It feels like it's a more organic sort of thing. I don't like those.
The older I get, the more I like beer. What's the aim for you then? What's it when you've made it? Is it your own sitcom? I imagine you going towards that sort of stuff. You like a bit of acting, don't you?
I used to think I wanted to be an actor, and then it turned out I was just gay.
Am I allowed to laugh at that? I'm not sure I'm allowed to laugh. I don't feel like that's politically correct.
Tim, don't worry. Are you codependent? That's what I was told. I've got codependency issues. I worry about what other people think all the time.
Yeah, because I'm on telly. I can lose my job like that for laughing at your jokes.
No, Tim, no. We're having a laugh. No, don't be daft. I said the joke. So I think that's the difference. If you started making loads of if you started going,
if I said that joke,
if you were if you're not actually, why you're just gay, then maybe that would be deemed a bit. I might be a bit well, I don't think that's very nice. But that's unfair, isn't it? Because if I'm going to make the joke, but anyway. But I would like to do that. I've always enjoyed storytelling, so whatever, and I enjoy other people's stories, and I like doing lots of things. I like meeting people and finding out about people, and generally just being silly. I like being silly with people together. I think that's, in this kind of online age, it's one of the few times we get to connect with other people. So I'm very grateful to be busy. I spent a lot of time trying to be busy, trying to get into ways I could be busy, and so I've got lots of ambitions, but I think
surely sitcoms in there, isn't it?
It is. Yeah,
it's got to be.
Yeah, it is. It is.
You did a bit of work on Josh Widdicombe's one, didn't you?
I did. Yeah. And I suppose my mum's always been such a big comedy fan, and even as a kid, she'd be getting me to watch. It's so funny looking back. She'd tape One Foot in the Grave and Soap, and we'd watch Police Academy, Police Squad rather, and even now Mum and I will often watch Frasier all morning just because it never gets boring, because the quality of the writing is so strong that there are still details you notice, and still dynamics, and still cleverness.
Could there ever be a show like a Two Ronnies and Morecambe Wise, or that sort of thing, where people come up and they just entertain on TV now? Could that ever happen again? Because now it's live at the Apollo, isn't it? And Michael McIntyre. I suppose that's close.
That's a stand-up.
Yeah, I suppose so.
Show. But in terms of what the Two Ronnies did in Morecambe Wise,
where they do the sketches and they do all those sort of things. Could that ever happen again? Do you think?
Well, I think Michael McIntyre's Saturday show sort of has an air of that kind of that gets that combination right and manages to update it. That it has sort of maybe not sketches in the same way that it once was, but I think audiences sometimes demand new things, and I think those sort of shows offer that. But then similarly, like SNL is still delivering sketches, and I think it's still really funny, and I think there's still space for that kind of short form funniness. And you know, like I remember like really growing up loving League of Gentlemen, and I think like Mark Gatiss from that I know, and I know how hard he works, and it's but that started off as a sketch show, but they just strung it together in a really amazing way. So I think it's just about reinvention, apart from
Things are changing though, aren't they? The Christmas DVD used to be huge, and now it's just the market's fallen away a lot on that.
I think it has a bit, but I think there's still that sort of sense of giving people something physical for Christmas.
So you're looking for a Netflix special as a comedian.
That's
now,
one of the outlets people have. But essentially, like, what's exciting is that new people are coming to see live comedy, I think, as well. And I think that those people who did well out the DVD era have meant that people go, oh, I like stand-up, I'll go and see it. And hopefully there was a time when it was very, like, aggressive, I think, and a lot of people wouldn't have felt comfortable being in a stand-up club. But now I think they go, oh, yeah, I'll come down. Oh, I like that person. Oh, I like them. And actually all different age groups go, oh, actually there's... And then sometimes, you know, the more alternative or sort of unusual act speak to people in a way that actually they thought they'd never have somebody who'd speak for them in comedy. So I think comedy clubs are...
That's why comedy is important, isn't it? Because it can do that. It can introduce you to different things and different ideas. And it also can take the mickey out of certain things and make it okay. Like, you know, you just did a homophobic joke at me, and no, but it's like...
I suppose that's what I've sort of tried to do with stand-up, is I sort of make fun of the idea of things like homophobia, because I think it does actually... Well, I hope... Well, for me, it sort of neutralizes it. It sort of nullifies. It means that it doesn't have any power, and hopefully you do that on behalf of people.
Yeah,
on behalf of people.
The best way of doing it. Yeah,
watching. Yeah,
definitely. Right, I'm very conscious of your time because you've got to go in. You've got to entertain.
I've got a charity show to do tonight, Tim. I can't stay for too long, but no, that's fine. I booked a cab for shortly, so we've got lots of time. In fact, I was worried we'd finish early.
Oh.
If anything, I've sort of strung this out. So I was worried we'd finish with half an hour to spare, and I just have to say, can I stay in your house for half an hour?
No,
and you might be like, oh no, actually I've got to go to a yoga class, which I imagine you probably do.
No, not tonight. I've done my exercise for today. I was going to ask you the questions that we ask everybody. So
I saw these.
Should we go on to these?
These are things I thought I'd responded to, but actually I hadn't.
Okay, what one piece of advice would you like to give our listeners that has been invaluable to your life?
Never save anything for best.
What does that mean?
So I think it's true on a wider scale. But somebody said to me about outfits. They said, you buy an outfit and you go, that's my best one, I'm going to save that.
Yes.
Or you buy a suit and you go, no, I'm going to wear that's from that. I'm going to buy that for that wedding. I'm going to that party.
Yeah.
And then you wear it for that and you feel really great. And then you don't wear it again because you go, I'm waiting for another big occasion. And the chances are that big occasion might be another 6 months away, and you might have changed your body shape by then, or it might not feel as in fashion, or it might feel a bit old. It's been hanging in the cupboard, it doesn't feel so special. You get something, don't save it. Sure, wear it for the first time on that special occasion, but then don't be afraid to wear it and feel great and enjoy it. And it's true, like my mum and dad have got china, they only bring out once a year. And I go, it's nice, just use it.
Yeah. Do you know what? That's such a great piece of advice.
You're welcome.
Because I do that, and I have to stop myself consciously from doing that. Going, well, I saved these ones. I'll look crap today because I've got the good outfit. But the one I did for a long time was save clothes for when I'm on TV.
Oh yeah.
So
sure.
I had this one T-shirt. It was white, and it was a really cool T-shirt. It was like a double T-shirt, two T-shirts in one. It was very, very fashionable.
That sounds very cool. Is it like one of those jumpers which has got like a collar, a little collar T-shirt,
a little bit like
underneath?
That. A little bit like that.
One of those.
A little bit like that. No, it was very, very cool. And designer and cost a lot of money. And I always saved it because I thought this is going to look really good under a jacket one day. And I found it the other day because I never actually got to wear it. It's still got the label on it. And it's gone slightly yellow because it's been...
no.
So I never, ever wore the blooming thing after all that time of doing it.
But it still fits, I bet.
Yeah, but it's yellow now around the thing. Well, I threw it away, so I don't know. So it was just a waste of time. But it's that classic thing of... I love it. What did you say? It wasn't always save...
Never save anything for best.
Never save anything for best.
And, you know, like if you want to extend it to a wider context, who knows what's around the corner? You get knocked down by a bus tomorrow.
Yeah.
You think, oh, I never wore that that lovely.
Yeah, when I really got into fashion, I spent a lot of time going shopping at weekends to buy clothes, and I thought I'm actually spending more time buying clothes to have fun in than I'm actually having fun, because I spent all my life up and down the West End going, oh, I could buy that, and I used to get jackets and I couldn't really afford them, so I'd get them and then I'd make them myself. So I'd sort of sew bits in and do that.
Oh,
and,
wow, Tim, that's impressive.
well, some of the handiwork's not great, but I used to love doing all that. So
Oh, that's
you know,
creative.
Yeah.
I really love Rufus Wainwright, and I remember seeing him wear like brooches and stuff, and I thought that was so fabulous. Like on a suit, you just wear a brooch and wear like a brocade jacket or some sort of velvet jacket, and spend loads of money on a thing. And I mean, you know, I just thought that was really great, really inspiring.
Well, one of my favourite looks was, which it was fun. I always try and explain this to people. It was fashionable, but people don't believe me. It was long shorts.
Oh,
You started laughing already.
Yeah, because what, you talking about below the knee shorts?
No, just
like a
sort of
capri pant.
No, just above the knee, right?
Above the knee,
Above the
above the
shorts,
knee
but they were shorts out like suit shorts.
Oh yeah.
Then long socks.
Where was this fashionable in like the Australian Postal Service?
It was a bit like that look, right? And then I had loafers, Patrick Coxey loafers, and then you wore a t-shirt. All right, is it just a normal t-shirt?
normal t-shirt.
Oh, actually, it might have been a shirt, and then a jacket, like a proper jacket.
Oh.
And then I'd sewn a purple hood into my.
like you were actually Zara.
It was a purple silk hood, but it was fashionable.
silk
yeah.
When was this? When was this? Like early
It was
2000s?
just- Oh no, probably before, way before.
Oh,
that. It was
okay,
in the
90s.
It was in the 90s, yeah. And I'd
fine.
got jackets with like great big thing. I used to sew buttons on them all and everything.
I think that was quite an extravagant time. I
Yeah,
think,
it was.
in a nice way, in
Yeah.
a way that we've sort of forgotten now, like that sort of Key West.
Everyone
hotel.
dressed up to go to clubs, and everyone wanted to look different and dress up.
Yeah.
Because I remember nightclubs started turning into places where people made money. Before that, they were people like Philip Salon and stuff putting clubs together, the Mug Club and stuff like that. And
right.
and they weren't making money. What they were doing is just putting on a great. They were making enough to buy themselves some drinks and maybe support themselves a bit, but it wasn't it wasn't all about money and VIP ropes and stuff like that. It was about just lots of people going in and
being
having,
together.
Yeah, and
I've
then
always
dressing
wondered
up.
about what that is, like in the 60s and stuff when people went to nightclubs. And I'm sure they were very boozy and whatever and quite salacious in their way. But I do wonder if they were a bit more conversational. And I do think it's a sadness that anywhere you go really is just loud music. And I don't know who likes loud music, because sometimes I like to go out and just talk to people. And sure, I have a drink and I have a bit of a party, but you don't always want to just dance. And I don't
This
know
sounds weird, but you used to have to dress up to go to the clubs because that's what made you into a person who was in a nightclub, as opposed to
Right.
the London clubs rather than the local disco in Watford, which was you just
Sure.
dress how you wanted to get in there. Just
Yeah.
make sure you had shoes on,
Yeah,
and
of
maybe a
course,
collar,
of course,
whatever it was. But
of
then
course.
in London, you had to sort of dress up a bit. But I was quite flamboyant in those days.
Yeah, but I think I know a lot of people who were on the scene in that time, and I think they all sort of lament how it's sort of lost a bit of its joie de vivre.
it became about money.
Sure.
Stopped becoming
Oh, really?
about music. It became about Grey Goose.
Oh, right, yeah, and
Grey
all that sort of
Goose,
showy
champagne.
offness.
Yeah, let's get a VIP table. and stuff
VIP,
yeah,
like what is that very
VIP.
important person?
VIP
Like,
is
what
mental.
are you talking about? Like,
Yeah.
like who? If you're somebody who's obsessed with being a very important person, you're not a very fun person to talk to. Whereas I imagine there probably was somebody there were people you meet eccentrics, and like there's I can't remember what it was called.
It's so-
But like those kind of what?
I was just saying, it's so bizarre to go to a club, right? There's like 100 people in a club or more, and then there's half a dozen people stood behind a piece
Behind
of
a
rope.
rope, thinking they're a big deal. Like who? Like what have you come out for? Why don't you just stay at home and watch the telly? Because if you're so affronted by other people, if you're so disgusted by other people, why stay in? Go to a restaurant where you get
amazing.
your own table, get your own VIP area, and come back. I get really sort of angry about it. And when I was first growing in my teenage years, that was all coming to an end. All that sort of fabulousness of the 80s and 90s, and it was becoming lad culture.
Yeah.
And that was really locked down, minimal, nothing kind of very extravagant about it, nothing very exuberant about it. It was all quite wear a polo shirt,
Yeah.
it was all sort of, I don't know, even I don't know. And it all sort of felt kind of angry. It all felt very angry.
Yeah.
I think I've always lived in that shadow of like, please don't hit me, which is basically how it was when I was at school.
I like dressing up. I thought it was cool. Anyway, what's the biggest mistake you've made is the next question.
I don't know if it's a total mistake, but I wish when I was about 20, I wish I'd said to myself, it doesn't matter. But you never can do this because you don't know how life will go. But I wish I'd said to myself, you know what? You're not going to be perfect. You're not going to know what you're doing. You're going to make loads of mistakes. So until you're 30, just mess it up. Just go out and have fun. But instead I was always like, no, I can't do that. I've got to go and do this gig. I've got to go and do this thing. I've got to travel to this thing. I've got to go to meet this person or something. I've got to try and impress this person. I wish I'd just gone, bollocks to all. Can I say bollocks?
Yeah, fine.
Bollocks to all, all of it. I just think, I wish I'd just sort of taken my foot off the stress break, the stressiness, and just gone, relax. It's all right.
Though if you had relaxed, you probably wouldn't be where you are now. Because I've a very similar way of thinking as you, that I wish I hadn't bothered. But my friends used to always go to me, you need to network more. Tim, your career, you need to network. And I can't be bothered. And it's only just now that I've sort of made peace. Let's say that because it sounds good. Made peace with the fact that I'm a crap network. I just can't be asked to go and talk to people.
That's just being a sincere person. Like, I think there's people who are...
I don't know, though. I watch a lot of successful people, and the way they work a room, I'm like, wow, that's something else. The way they work in the room.
Whatever you're doing must be right, because you're doing well. Like, I don't think you could have 4 gas rings and an indoor barbecue if you weren't doing well.
I'm not Saturday night prime time, though.
That's the thing. It never stops, though, does it? That's the other danger, I think, for anybody, is that somebody said this to me. It's like, it's about climbing the ladder. There's no ladder because, for example, with comedians, you start off and you get booked for a gig and someone pays you and you go, that's amazing. I don't know if you get paid. And they go, oh, we'd like you to travel to this gig. And so you get a train fare, and then you go, oh, I should be in first class, and then you get flown to do a gig abroad, and you're in economy, like, oh, I think it's nice, and then you're like, oh, I should be in business class, and you're in business class, oh, but there's another class, I should be in first class, and then you're in first class, you go, oh, I should have my own place, and when does it end? And all that time, you're not enjoying the fact that, like, actually, life is nice sometimes, and you should enjoy those
True,
moments.
though I do look at Dermot O'Leary, and I do know how much he gets paid for doing X Factor, and he's, by the way, I think Dermot's really good, but then I do watch him. I've been down to watch it live a few times, and you read a bit of auto cue, and I know I make it look hard, but it's not. It's not that. And then at the end, you go, "I must hurry you. What do you make of it? Come on, what do you make of it?" Or something like that.
I remember.
And then you get paid a lot of money, and it's Saturday night TV prime time.
Tim, well, have you put that out there to the universe? Have you made some inroads?
Oh,
to try
the
and
universe. Do you believe in the universe?
Well, I have American friends who'd say that. You've got to put it out there if that's what you want.
I don't really want it. I quite enjoy doing what I do.
Well, I think being you has seen you this far, so don't rock that boat.
I do love doing Sunday brunch, even though I keep calling it a soccer home on this. Any life hacks you've got?
Yes, when you're taking a selfie on your phone, if it's an iPhone, you can use the volume buttons to press the photo, to make it take a photo. If you take a selfie, you don't need to press the button in the middle.
Beautiful.
On the screen. You can use the volume buttons to take the picture.
Do you do a lot of selfies?
No, I'm not very good at them. I'm not very, like, friends of mine are really good on Instagram. I'm rubbish at all that.
Yeah.
I can't, because I'm like, why does anybody want to see a picture of stupid me? And, but sometimes it is good to know that. I mean, it would be nice to segue into a story about, like, well, of course, people are always asking for my picture of them now after gigs. In reality, I think they're about to ask me for a selfie. Turns out they're, more often than not, just looking at the maps on their phone.
Can you recommend a book?
Yes, I really enjoyed The Time Traveler's Wife. I really like that book.
I don't know. I don't only read
it on holiday once.
I don't read fiction.
Well, you only non-fiction, don't you? Footballers' biographies, don't you?
That's all I read. Sadly, it's all self-help books, which is
that's a very blokey thing to read.
Is it?
Yeah, I think so, because it's like, I don't know, it's not indulgent. I'm generalising it, but it's not. It's got a purpose. I'm reading a book for a purpose.
Yeah.
Read a book just for the sake of. Read a bit of Jane Austen. Treat yourself.
Yeah, I've tried it. I've tried fiction. I get bored. Whereas if I'm learning stuff, I love it. And this is why this podcast started right in the early days, was because I'd read so many self-help books. Mark and myself, we'd worked. He was producing me on a radio back in the day, and we said, let's do a podcast. And I said, well, I'll be an agony uncle. This is how it all started. Me answering people's problems.
Oh my goodness, should I have brought more problems to you?
If you've got any, I can help you with
now
them.
you tell me. It's a bit late. I mean, there's a lot.
All right, final question. What is the meaning of life?
I don't know. And I think I was thinking about this recently, and I think I don't know. Like I think that's the reason I do what I do for a living, is that we all feel a bit lost and we all feel a bit alone. And actually that's why, those moments when we go, oh, actually I'm not alone in this. I'm not alone in this kind of lostness, in this sometimes fearful life.
Do you think we all do feel alone?
Yes. I think that's why I think that's why people watch television in a way. I think that's why they watch, because they go, oh, I'm with other people. And I think if you can speak to them about if you can acknowledge something that you feel about life and that they feel the same, they go, oh, I'm not alone.
Did you feel really, okay. When my brother died of cancer, sadly. Sorry to bring the podcast down at the end here, but when he was diagnosed with cancer, he felt very alone. I remember it. Because people like him didn't get cancer was his thought process, right? Why am I got cancer? I don't want cancer, and it's not. And I remember him going through this period of time where he felt very alone. Like, who do I turn to? And I got him to go to a group of people who had cancer as well, and it felt a bit better because there were some people there who there was like a charity thing, which was fantastic. But then when he was told it was terminal and there was nothing else they could do for him. Again, there was this period of like, this shouldn't happen to me, and I'm very alone. I'm the only person in the world. And that's when I felt, looking at somebody, the most loneliest I've ever seen anyone. Is that what... I might be saying something which is not very cool, but when you realise you're gay, and then you're thinking, am I the only one here? Is this what happens? Do you feel lonely with that period of time?
I think so. Yes, I think that does pertain to a lot of gay people's experience, or queer or non-mainstream people. I think, I remember feeling at times very alone as a young person, and as a child, very different anyway. And in a way you sort of end up sort of clinging to, I sort of clung to it because I sort of felt like, well, that's mine and I can own that. And at times became quite maudlin, for example, dressing up in Victorian clothing. But I think, yes. But I think a lot of the time people do have experiences like that. And I think that's why we kind of find ways to reach out to people. And I suppose that's why people love Christmas, because it's a chance when they're unashamedly able to go, I want to see you.
Yeah.
Whereas people are often shamed into having those emotions in the rest of their lives, that they go, no, I don't want to be a bother to you. I don't want to be a trouble to you. And I sometimes worry with social media. It's a way of connecting, but at times it can feel like it's a very sort of solitary interaction with a screen. So, but that's sometimes yes and sometimes no. But yeah.
Listen, thank you so much for doing the podcast today.
Tim, it's been lovely.
Apart from the charity gig, which you're going on to do now,
I am doing a charity gig now.
What else are you doing?
The tour finishes. I don't know when this will go out though, Tim.
Monday.
Oh well, the tour finishes on the 12th of December, and then I've got a couple of things on, and then I'm going to have a holiday.
Yes.
And then. I've got some things on next year. I'm going to start writing the new show, aren't I?
Yeah.
Find some new things to talk about.
Okay, well, listen, thanks so much for doing this
Real
today.
pleasure.
And if they want to follow you on Twitter, you're just...
Tom Allen Comedy.
Tom Allen Comedy.
And if on Instagram, I'm Tom Indeed.
Indeed?
Indeed, just Tom Indeed.
Indeed.
Yeah, indeed.
Brilliant. Thanks so much, Tom.
Pleasure.
Brilliant.
See you soon. Bye.
Bye.